All righty, welcome everyone. Welcome to another session of the Sales Success webinar. As always, my name is Alex Nichols. We have Tim Rowen here and a special guest who we're going to introduce here in a second. We are getting everything kicked off. Not only do we have it here on Zoom, we are also going to be live streaming this here on YouTube as well, which is pretty exciting for me. So as always, please post questions there in the chat. We will be doing a Q&A near the end of everything, as well as if you are watching this on YouTube right now, post those questions in the chat. I'm going to be monitoring that. With all that really said and done, hey, Tim, how you doing today? What are we going to be talking
You know
about?
what? It's Webinar Wednesday, so it's always a great day, and it's especially a great well, it's a pretty special day for me, everybody. And so I want to introduce, of course, Mr. Craig Davis is our guest today. So Craig, welcome aboard, my friend.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
And I just want to set the stage for everybody. You know, I've had in my career, especially over the last 10 years, I'll say, a handful, and I mean a very small handful of folks that have been instrumental in what's led me down the path to where I'm at. And Craig, you are certainly one of those guys. So thank you in advance. And, you know, we talk about, and we're going to take a quick look, everybody, on just some recent enhancements with our Figure lead portal and the enhancements that we've made with the inquiry tool. But we're just going to take a quick look at it and make sure that everyone is up to speed on some of the new enhancements that we've made. Then what we want to do is, instead of just always talking about Figure and HELOCs and the process and sales success, those are all great things, but we want to expand as we move through our webinar series and incorporate sales success on a much larger level and bring to all of you, our partners in most cases, maybe some thought leadership, if you will. And as we started making this move to this process, if you will, Craig, you were the first one I thought of. So I'm anxious to hear what you have to share with us here in a few minutes. Alex, are you set? Can we kind of highlight a couple things? Alex, we have some pretty big news in regards to some new state enhancements. So right out of the gate, we are now live for wholesale, Figure wholesale. We are now live in New York and Kentucky both. And if you happen to be in a retail model, we're also ready to go live, but we need retail leadership to communicate back with us, you know, look at disclosures, do all that typical business admin type stuff. So we are ready to go. Wholesale is live, and retail can be live very quickly. So definitely reach out to our sales success team. Alex, I know you'll put our contact information in there. And then, of course, we've recently made, some of you have already noticed it, but when you log into the lead portal now, what are they going to see, Alex?
They're going to see this brand new enhancement that our engineering team has worked pretty hard on. This is going to be the new dashboard view. So if you logged into the lead portal last like week, 2 weeks now, you have probably already seen this. This is going to be an enhancement for you to visualize your pipeline. Now, really one big distinction I do want to call out, but before then, I really just kind of want to break this down to just say, hey, you're going to be able to visualize your applications that your borrowers are going through, what stage they're in, the number of apps, that loan amount. Same thing with inquiries. You can see your statistics. And there's a great leadership board here as well. If your organization has turned it on, it's kind of up to them if they want to have a leadership board, but this way you can really kind of break it down where you stand amongst your fellows. But the big thing to me when it comes to sales success is going to be this right here. With your applications, you want to make sure that obviously nothing is expiring soon, right? So if we're taking a look at applications that are expiring soon, hey, maybe those are the first calls you make in the day. Same thing, and I say this pretty much every webinar, every session I've ever done, borrower notified, right? You do the inquiry, you send them the link, right? Maybe a referral or a retail partner with a referral link, you send them a link, borrower doesn't start the application. You want to follow up with them. It's a borrower-driven application experience. And then this is also going to mark inquiries that you have incomplete, which some of those, maybe that's okay. Maybe you looked at the offers, talked to the borrower, it didn't work out, that's fine. But you want to make sure that everything's flowing smoothly. And if there are any stops in the process, follow up with the borrower. Hey, that link was sent, you know, let's talk about it. Why haven't you started the app? Or, hey, it's going to expire soon. Let's get you through. Let's see if we can get this done today. Things of that nature. So now you can all visualize it. And we really encourage you to log in every single day to see what's going on in your pipeline.
Yeah, that's really awesome, Alex. Thank you for showing that. And So remember, now when you log into the lead portal, that's the screen that'll pop up, and you can certainly go right to your pipeline and start new inquiries as well. But that's just a great dashboard to kind of remember. We say it all the time. We're trying everything constantly to improve transparency for you, the loan originator. So that's a pretty big, huge leap. So again, thank you to our engineering and product team for focusing on that. It's pretty big. So now to the meat and potatoes here. Or should I say the ham and eggs, like Craig Davis would like
Maybe
to
a little
say.
bacon and eggs.
Maybe
How
a
about
little
that?
bacon and eggs. Yeah, bacon bits. We say it on. And in fact, I have that sticker on my laptop. By the way, it's you can't see it, but it's still on the other side.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
getting
there it
washed out
is.
here, but
There
yeah.
it is, right there. Well, Craig, you have been awfully busy, and which is awesome. I know our paths cross still to this day at different conferences and that type of thing, and we run in some of the same circles. And I'm just so excited for you to share and have a conversation. We spoke a little bit the other day, and it's really interesting what's going on. I don't know if I should say from a mindset perspective, or we've been faced with some challenging times, right? And not just for the last, I don't know, couple years, but even maybe even just the last month or two. I mean, my gosh, I know for us, we've had hurricanes rip through a couple of our markets. We've had a presidential election, what seems to be grabbing everyone's time, right? And I came across one of your webinars, I think recently, and we get to this time of year and so many originators and or companies start thinking business plan for this, business plan for that. But you changed it up, didn't you? You changed the scripting on that. How do you refer to that?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. And I do want to say, everybody, I've had the great pleasure of working with Tim at my prior company. We worked together, and to Tim's point earlier, and Tim, when you were introducing me earlier, something I thought of, which is, I think Steve Martin said this quote: "Be so good you can't be ignored." And Tim, that was always you, and that's what gave me the great joy to be able to offer you, great promotions, and and what you did within our prior company. And
Yeah.
it's awesome to see what you're doing, with Figure, with Alex and Anthony and everybody. So congratulations. And this is your living room, brother. So I love seeing it, man. And so
Well,
everyone
thank
here
you.
in the audience, engage with Tim. He will help you be successful. So with that, let's talk about, yeah, like, I mean, yeah, to your point, like, forget the fact that the market has just been really challenging over the last couple of years. Now, look, some people are doing very well, but a lot of people have just been facing a lot of things. And then all of a sudden, we get this big breath of fresh air, like rates come back down. I think was it end of August, maybe September. And we get really excited, right? Let's throw a bunch of actions at it. Okay, let's start calling for refis, right? And then what happens? Rates go right back up. And then
Yeah,
all of a sudden,
almost immediately. Yeah.
and then we're like back underwater, right? And this is
Yeah.
challenging for all of us individuals in the business. This is challenging for companies. I mean, all of the above. Okay. So what's going to change, right? Well, who knows, right? I mean, I do believe we are on the right side of optimism here, but we're not out of this thing right now. And it's critical that we're going into 2025 on offense. We have to be on offense. And there is a shift in mortgage, and you and I have talked about this. I've done a lot of writing on this. I'm on a lot of webinars and keynotes talking about this. And we have to align ourselves into what our mortgage industry is becoming. I think now, maybe now over the next couple of years, and then what is it going to look like? Call it 3 years from now and beyond, right?
Right.
So we have to get on offense. We have to get on offense. Now, from my perspective, we're talking about business plans. And how often have you written a business plan, maybe just to satisfy your boss, right? And I know I've been that boss, and I've required business planning, and I've
Right.
certainly done it myself. And the perspective I'm coming from is that in general, business plans just don't generally work because they create inconsistencies. Maybe we're just sort of like, and all of a sudden we find ourselves having to reinvent ourselves every time. All right, it's December. We got to write a business plan. Okay, what am I doing? And we're sort of like doing goal setting. We're throwing actions at the wall. We're hoping they stick. We kind of get going. But the problem is we never look at it again. So I'm not saying don't do it. What I'm saying is let's do it differently. So the way I approach this and how I do it for myself, having 20 years in sales and management and leadership, and now, in my own, entrepreneurship and executive coaching and the fractional leadership I've been doing with clients and companies, I design this more as a business blueprint,
I love
right?
that.
A business blueprint. So let's go over. Let's talk about that, and let's go over the framework of that. And so everybody in the audience, like, here's the framework. and this is what I'm going to acknowledge up front. I've tried making this as easy, simple as possible, right? This framework is very simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. Like it's hard to sit down and all of a sudden, okay, now what? I got to like get this information out. That's difficult. So, so at the end of this, I am doing a business blueprint workshop next week. It's a 4-day virtual, just from 11 to 12 Pacific Standard Time. So I'll give you information at the end of this if anybody wants to join. But here's the framework. Okay. So, all right. So the first thing is, look, we need clarity. We need clarity in what we're doing. We need clarity in our vision. All right. So we got to get on offense. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to your business? So the first thing I want everybody to think about is, what are your key business pillars? All right. These are your verticals that support and drive your business forward. Right? Is it marketing, sales, prospecting? Are you a branch manager, company owner, profitability, recruiting, personal growth, training and support? You know, what are your verticals in your business that support and drive your business forward? So we've got to see these in their own verticals so we have clarity in between them, right? And essentially we're just building a house here.
Yeah,
So
and by the way,
yeah.
Craig, I hate to interrupt you here real
No,
quick,
no,
but
I was going to stop and say, give me feedback now.
well,
Yeah.
you just said something really interesting there that I just want to highlight. Those verticals could be different across the board depending on who we are, what we do. To your point, the example you gave is maybe you're a branch manager, sales leader, whatever the case is. Those verticals might be different for that person versus the verticals for an LO, right? Is that how you're framing that?
100%. I tell people, like, look, it doesn't matter what they are. Well, it matters what they are. But the point is, there's not a prescription of here's what they should be. And, you know, and I work with originators, branch managers, CEOs, you know, executives, you know, leadership. And to your point, like, it can vary. And especially for those who are branch managers or in leadership roles where you have a lot that pivots off your desk, and you really have to have this clarity because of all these elements. I mean, you might have personal production. You also have to run marketing. So where are we in touch with our personal brand? How are we going to execute upon that? Right. And I'm going to go into now, you know, the next step would be what we do with that. But my point is really getting clear with what these are. Because that way we're sort of categorically approaching how we're going to drive our business forward, right? Recruiting and growth, like I said. How's your profitability? How's your P&L structure? You know, operations, you know, again, what is important to you in your business? What supports and drives it forward? And what's going to get you on offense going into 2025? Are we adopting technology? Are we using, and what is not all the tech, what is your right tech that can help leverage you? Because we're going to have to we're going to have to go deeper and reach a wider audience at that. Right.
Yeah. So Craig, on that, yeah, in the spirit of that, so when we talk about identifying the verticals and moving forward, is part of that process also looking backwards in time, like
Sure.
what have I already done, and maybe identifying areas where I may have missed, and I'll selfishly give my figure mindset here, right? So maybe I look back at my pipeline and I realize home equity is at an all-time high. Tons of people are taking advantage of accessing their equity, but me personally as a loan originator, I didn't do any. I might want to add that to my vertical. Does that make sense the way I'm saying that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Who are you as an originator? What is your identity as an originator? What is your personal brand? Who's your ideal clients that you're trying to serve? You know, when I ask people, and some of you in the audience might say, when I ask you, well, who's your ideal client? And I get the answer of, well, anyone who would do a mortgage. Okay, that's not getting on offense. That doesn't work. We can't go broad shotgun approach. It just doesn't work that way. We need to really clearly identify who our ideal client is. So again, just in the same vein of conversation and context, maybe part of one of your verticals is I've got to get really in touch with my personal brand. I got to get really in touch with exactly who I want to serve and why. Okay, let's stand that vertical up because we've got to reach that audience and be able to go deeper with them. And using figure, using the HELOC is a great conduit, right? For whatever the purposes are of who you're trying to approach. Is it repeat buyers? Are we trying to do remodeling using HELOC for that? Is it for safety purposes? Is it, or hey, I want to be that financial strategist as a mortgage advisor with my client and use HELOC as part of one of my strategies. And I'll show you this. We'll move on to step 2 here, because I often talk about customer for life is one of my verticals, right? And implementing a figure HELOC into that vertical to help me be a strategist. So let's move on to step 2 here, so we can dive into that. All right. So step 1, what are our key verticals? Step 2 is now we're going to run little mini business plans per vertical. So what I call this is your VSE plan: vision, strategy, execution. Okay. Super simple. But just because I know Alex doesn't know what vision, strategy, and execution means, I'm going to explain this real quick. I'm just kidding, Alex. I know that you do.
And I'm writing it down. So
well, and here's the thing. We all inherently know what it means, but when I sit down and we start doing it, I also, it's like, okay, but explain strategy to me. So here's how I want to break it down. Vision, 10,000 feet. Where are you going? Why? And if you're in leadership and management, here's the hard question. Why does it matter? Why should it matter to those you're serving, you're managing, you're leading? Because we have to think about this in their desired outcomes. I have rolled out many initiative tech rollouts. Tim, you and I worked on MSR recapture strategy, all these different things. We have to think about our end user. So whatever our vision is, why does it matter? Where are we going? And why should they care? So just 10,000 feet, right? We're just up here. Now, strategy. Okay. Strategy is at 1,000 feet. How? How are we going to implement that vision? Now, here's what's common. We typically actually miss strategy. We sort of have this vision, I want to do this, and we jump right into actions. Okay, now I'm just going to throw a bunch of actions at it. But the problem is when we do that and we skip over strategy, that's what creates the inconsistencies. That's what creates that whack-a-mole management of activities, right? That remember Bill used to say. So it's really important that we break down. So per vertical, vision, where are we going and why? Why should anyone care? Now, what are the strategies that feed the vision? Okay, 1,000 feet. And then execution, that's sea level. Those are our actions. Now, what are the actions that feed the strategy that feeds the vision? So it is important that we do break that down. And let's use a good example right here. Rates come back down, rates come down like we were just talking about. September, rates go back down. We get super excited. Okay, run after refis. Go, 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 go. Right? So we just start calling them refis. And then what happens? Well, rates come back up and all of a sudden, crap, now what do I do? Inconsistency. Right. My success was determined on external events. Rates are up, rates are down, etc. Now the elite in our business who are succeeding, I have clients who they're having record months. Okay, well, what's the difference? A big difference is they have strategy. So no matter up or down, external factors, etc., we can just lever up or down what actions I'm implementing given market conditions, but there's not this constant start, stop that so many are feeling. So let me show you an example real quick. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, Craig, everything you just laid out, my mind immediately goes to, and I know we've talked about this over the years, but I immediately think this is quickly the difference between being proactive versus reactive, right? And if,
yes.
And if you come through this vision, strategy, execution, that one feeds into the next, it's like, oh my gosh, now I'm being proactive in my business, not reactive.
Well, and that's a really, really good point, Tim. And that's where strategy comes in. Strategy is the proactive side of it. So let me give an example. So here is one of the business pillars in somebody's, what I coach in a business blueprint, right? So instead of, hey, rates are down, let's run after refis. What if instead we're just executing upon a customer for life business pillar? Again, that vertical. So that was step 1. Now, step 2 is, okay, what's our vision, strategy, and execution plan for customer for life? So my vision is to create customers for life with a focus on strategic financing that creates a home of strength, not stress. I don't want you up at 2 a.m. worried about your mortgage. And equity over debt, resulting in referrals, purchases, refis, and gratitude. That's my vision. That's what I coach. That's what I lead. That's my vision for Customer for Life. So what are some of my strategies? How do I feed that vision? Strategy number one is I'm going to be a mortgage coach consultant, right? So the
You know, I'm a
execution,
fan.
I know, and I know you are, and I know that you are. So my execution on that is the action is, okay, well, therefore, I will do a TCA with every consultation. I will give a minimum of 3 financing options to open up a strategic mindset. So I am always viewed as that strategic advisor. Mortgage Coach is not a piece of tech. It's not a product. It is a conduit for me being a strategic advisor, right? And I'll be part of the Mortgage Coach community. So that is one strategy in the execution that goes along with that. Another one is, okay, I'm going to have a keep in touch strategy. Okay, well, sure. So that means that my CRM has to be in check. I'm going to be doing database harvesting within my CRM. I'm going to be doing quarterly personal touches. I'm always keeping in touch for a reason, right? I'm going to use Box and Bestow, which is a gifting company. So I'm always going to have an elegant way to be remembered after the transaction. And if you guys don't know Box and Bestow, check out Box and Bestow. I'm going to have my marketing rooted in my personal brand. If you are relying on corporate marketing and recipe cards, hey, here's how to do, cook a turkey, and I'm sorry, it's white noise. It doesn't work. It's boring. Your marketing has to be rooted in your personal brand. And by the way, your personal brand is not just for marketing. It's how you connect with your clients. It's how you connect with your referral partners and so much more. So that is one of my strategies, that my marketing will be aligned with my personal brand. So my execution on that is I will be constantly educating on strategic financing to build home equity, not debt, and so on. I'll be doing now social media 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I will be on social media. I will educate, explain, and energize. Emails, I will do at least an email twice a month, a newsletter, and a value bomb, etc. Right? So now, nice and clear. I'm just executing. And then, strategy number 4 here, refi now. Okay, rates come back down. Awesome. I'm just going to lever that up. Okay, I'm going to be ahead of rates coming down. I'm reaching out. I'm setting up mortgage reviews. We're already in touch because I'm already executing within my Customer for Life business pillar here. And then I'm just going to set our target rates. We're going to establish a mortgage review. Maybe we fill out an application ahead of time. We're going to set the mark. And then we're being thought of or remembered. We're not reactionary, to your point earlier. We're proactionary. Is that a word? I think it is. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go with it.
Well, if it's not, you're famous for making up words. So
That's right.
Craig Davis has his own dictionary. So
That's right. That's right. So this is what I mean about having a business blueprint. This is just one of my verticals. Another vertical might be, okay, I'm going to get more, I'm going to get clearer around marketing as a vertical, because we really do have to be on social media, right? It's where our audience is at, right? So I have lots of clients where, okay, I want to be there. I don't know what to do. I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but so we break it down and now we just simply execute, right? So again, you can have, so whatever your business pillars are, this is an example of one of them. Right now, by the way, let's change this one down here to, using figure for homes. Well, you tell me, Tim, what should the strategy be?
It would be accessing equity.
Okay.
You know what I mean? While homeowners have equity, be accessing equity to facilitate whatever their needs are. Craig, you've heard me say this ad nauseum. Alex is has already heard me say this a lot over my first year here, but I've never ever believed someone calls and does a mortgage simply based on what a rate is. There's always a different need. And right now, make no mistake about it, there's a huge need for people for whatever, and accessing equity is a great solution for that. And
Absolutely.
so is it the only solution? No, but is it a great starting point? That's so need, and how can we solve that need or pain, should I say,
Absolutely. And again, accessing equity, that is aligned with my Customer for Life strategy, right? So I might be thinking about, okay, so accessing equity. So I am a financial strategist with my clients. So then I'm going to be database harvesting. I'm going to pay attention. Hey, your kids are 15, 16 years old. Do you have college savings? Do you know you have equity in your home? That might be a strategy to help pay for college. Maybe yes, maybe no, but it's going to introduce the conversation, right? That's one of my keep in touch strategies, right? I'm prepping them as maybe their first time home buyers. And we know that they want to remodel a kitchen or a bathroom over time. Great.
Right.
Let's talk about that. I'm going to be paying attention to your equity growth. And at some point, we're going to be able to tap into that so you can have your great kitchen remodel. I'm using accessing strategy, that strategy, and figure being the conduit for that. Right. And of course,
Yeah.
you have so many more examples of how to use this, the HELOC in such an advantageous way.
Well, Craig, you mentioned, of course, you gave an example of what your vertical would look like in that. And by the way, what an incredible worksheet. I'll just say, Alex, do you look at that and go, yeah, okay, we should probably be attending Craig's next session as a team? I'm thinking we should probably make that happen. I'm already seeing ways we can improve at our level as well. So anyway, what's interesting, Craig, is you identified, right, you're going to be a mortgage coach, right? You're going to use that software as a conduit to stay in front of your clients, show them strategies, so on and so forth. Well, as you know, I'm a big fan, and we just did this with some lending partners where we demonstrated in regards to accessing equity, a strategy of showing, okay, well, maybe they are in a great position to do a rate and term, but not cash out because the loan level price adjustments are so high. So what if we do a rate and term and add the HELOC to facilitate their cash needs? And make no mistake, there's a ton of homeowners with cash needs. And guess what? The blended rate up between the two was like 6%. You see what I mean? So I love that, the way you've drawn that up on the pillars there, because one feeds into the next. You
right.
could have mortgage coach on your top line, and down at the bottom, adopt figure to show clients how to access equity. And guess what? It rolls right back up to number one.
That's right. That's right. And so, and that's why, and again, it's so common that, we've got to play the spaghetti and meatballs in our brains, right? We've got so many things going on. We're trying to chase the market. We're kind of frustrated. Things are changing. What do I do? I see this person doing that. Do I need to roll out this tech? I want to use mortgage coach. I don't really know how. Blah, blah, blah. Right. So this is why building out your business blueprint, it reduces that, like your brain, think of your brain like a bucket full of water. Well, we got to reduce that water line so we can make room for creativity, innovation, stress relief, all the things. But when our brain is maxed out and that water line is up here, look, one drop goes in, another drop comes out. That's where our frustration comes in. We get stuck in a rut, all the different things. So this is why I've designed this business blueprint. Like I said, clarity. Step one, what are your verticals? There's clarity. Step two, what's your VSE plan? Vision, strategy, execution, like we were just talking about, per vertical. Okay, that's momentum. Now, yeah. I want to make this point right here. We want momentum, not motivation. Business planning is more about motivation. Okay, here's my goals. I want to do this. These are the actions I'm going to throw about it. I'm motivated. When you go to a sales conference, you're motivated. Motivation is an emotion. Motivation fades. We need momentum. Momentum is what lasts. And you said it earlier. What keeps us in momentum is being proactive. What I would say is strategy. The root of our momentum is because we're executing on our strategies. We're not just throwing actions at the wall and hoping they stick. So that's why doing this VSE plan per vertical is so critical. Okay. So I put in the link, by the way. There's a landing page. You can get a template of that business pillar so you can fill it in yourself on there. And then here's my email address. If you want that customer for life one that I just did, or if you have any questions or if you want some feedback or whatever, there's my email. Just reach out. Happy to help. Okay. So let's move on to step 3.
Okay.
Okay. This is my favorite word, Tim. I'm going to see if you can guess it. Take one guess what step 3 is all about.
Is it going to be scale?
Yeah.
Scalability. I didn't even know what scale meant.
That was pretty good. You two know each other really well.
So this is one of the hardest things to achieve in the mortgage business, is creating scale, right? Because we live in this constant up and down, and there's so many complexities and all those other things, right? We have to be able to scale ourselves. I was talking about earlier in the webinar, we have to be able to leverage ourselves, because we're going to have to reach a wider audience and be able to go deeper with them, right? So again, we're building a house. Just put the visual, right? We did our verticals, and then we did a VSE plan per vertical. Now scale is that's the horizontal. So now another way is, this is about agility. Right. So agility is like, think about football. You're a football coach, right? I've got to be on my low center of gravity. I got to be agile. I'm moving back and forth. I'm horizontal. So think about horizontal above your vertical. So now I know how to dive into each one of my verticals. So now let's think about a couple things. What are the obstacles in the way? What are your resources available? What are your resources not available? What are your fears? Again, that'll go back into obstacles. Who's going to, now this is figuratively and literally, who's going to lead, manage, and or do, right? Like I want this thing, especially if you're in management and leadership and you have people within your branch or organization, there's leaders, managers, and doers. If you're an originator, I'm a solopreneur, aside from Katrina, who's on this call, who's my marketing manager. Well, there's some things I have to lead, manage, and do, and there's some things I can offload my plate for Katrina to do. But I want the perspective because I want you to be able to navigate across your verticals where, okay, I've got to dive into this, my customer for life vertical, right? So I might be all in, or I might not be all in because I'm also on top of my marketing vertical or my recruiting vertical or whatever. And I want to have the mindset of, okay, right now I'm leading. That means, look, I'm pulling. I'm pulling with oversight, with vision, making sure everyone's rowing in the same direction, right? That's your vision. Now, you might also have a manager on top of that. Okay, so maybe who's ever managing this, okay, that's pushing, right? Managers push strategy, push process. A good example, just to give you context, think about like operations, right? You might have a credit risk manager in the organization. There's your leader. And then the manager might be the operations manager. Okay, operations manager is making sure, right? They're pushing process, they're pushing, the operational strategy. And then you have your doers. There's your processors, your LOAs, your underwriters, your doctor hours, et cetera, right? So I'm just using that as an example to give context because I want you to think about ultimately what I'm getting at here is as you look at each one of your verticals and then you have your vision, strategy, execution plan. Okay, like I said earlier, all right, now how do we execute on this? How do we create scale on this? Who can help us? What's in my way? How do I remove that obstacle? Who can help me? Like I was saying, right? And so that's what we just want to acknowledge real quick because this is how high achievers can accomplish so much, right? So we don't need to have this huge team doing this for us. There's actually a lot of ways that we can execute at a high level. So step three is figuring out scalability.
Yeah, that's really good. Scalability. There's that word.
Yeah, I think it's the most important word in running an effective mortgage business. We have to figure out how we scale. Okay. The last step, step 4, okay? This is where your personal brand comes in. All right. So the first one is clarity, momentum, scalability. And then step 4 is personal brand. What's your personal vision, mission, and values? We have to get in touch with what is the vision of your business? What are you trying to accomplish? Where are you going with this? What's the broader, bigger vision? Again, where are you going and why? Why does it matter? Who's your ideal audience, your ideal clients, right? And I help break that down so we can get very specific and very tailored in. What's your mission? What's your joy, purpose, and passion in life, right? And then what are your core values? Now, this isn't just about putting a sign on the wall saying this is my mission statement, right? It's not that. Why it's important to really get in touch with what your core values are. My core values are health, happiness, success, and agility, right? And it's really important because those core values, those are like the magnets to your compass. And the clearer and more aligned we get with our vision and our mission and our values, that's what exudes in our client interactions, in our referral partner attraction and depth, and of course in our marketing. So we're not just marketing about products and all this other stuff. We're marketing about solving things, educating, energizing. This is because people care about what you care about, right? And you've heard me say, people connect with people, not product, right?
Oh, so true. So
I
true.
love that very much.
Yeah. So this is how I can help pull out and extract your personal brand. So now you have your business blueprint essentially, right? Now, and I just want to make a point here. Like this is not perfect. This is not perfect. It's not designed to be it can't be perfect. If it's perfect, it'd be too complicated and wouldn't work. This is meant to give you guidance. So I have a business blueprint guide. I have a guidebook. Like I said, if you want to do the workshop, I help pull this out from you. I do the heavy lift with you. And so here you go. Now here's your business blueprint. Now let's execute upon it, right? We've reduced all that weight on our brain of all these things. I know I need to do this, and I should do this, and all these different things. And now we're just executing. So it doesn't matter necessarily what the market is doing. Market's up, market's down, right? There's always Easter eggs in the market, right? There's always Easter eggs out there of like, hey, here's an opportunity. Like right now, again, the figure HELOC, all-time high equity, all-time high debt, lowest first mortgage rates. Like that's got HELOC written all over it.
It's interesting, Craig, because you start off in this call and you've said it several times, like really going on offense, right?
Yeah.
And I would actually challenge that, myself included, and Alex, you can chime in as well, but I feel like the reality is I spend so much time, my time on defense.
Yeah.
You know, reacting to whatever's going around me versus controlling and saying, here's my offense. And again, I'm going to use a football analogy, a football coach, right? I'm going to establish what my offense is going to be. Am I a running offense? Am I a passing offense? Am I a spread? You know, am I whatever the case is? But as long as I identify my offensive strategy and just stick with that, well, I may run the ball 50 times in a game, you know, and eat up a bunch of clock or whatever the case is, but I have to be committed to it. I have to say, here's my offense, and we're committed to this as a team, that this is who we are.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. Well, and I love that. So again, you're always able to navigate whatever external influences are happening. Those aren't determining your future. You're able to navigate that. And then again, we're just levering up or down or implementing different strategies, right? So this is why I spend time on this and making sure that we have this. And like I said, I mean, I work with clients and we don't follow this exact path every time. This is, like I said, this is a framework. This is a formula, right? So again, business plans, oftentimes we're just sort of reinventing something. We're putting a goal in there. We're satisfying our boss. We're paying attention to what the market is right now. We're trying to predict all of the above. But let's implement that into our business blueprint. And then along the way, we just fine tune. Things change, things evolve. You stand up a new pillar, you take one down, you know, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So, so like I said, simple concept, but not easy to do on your own. So that's why I'm doing the workshop and other things. And I'm happy to answer any questions here. Like I said, I put a landing page in here so you can get a copy of that template. And if you have any questions, you know, again, just reach out on email and I do complimentary huddles all the time if people, you know, are stuck on something.
And Alex, I do think, I don't know, I thought I saw someone might have raised their hand, and I know we've tried this in the past, and it hasn't worked where we've told people to unmute themselves. Do you see that at all on your end, Alex, or no?
It looks like they lowered their hand there. So if anyone does have any questions, though, there is the Q&A here in Zoom. There's going to be a button for it, so you can submit any questions you may like. I'm also monitoring the YouTube chat, so if you do have a question and you're on YouTube, please post that in the chat as well. We are happy to answer any questions.
And we can get tactical too, right? Like I'm talking broad term here, right? We're just talking framework, but let's dig into something more tactical. So we were talking a little bit earlier, you know, being that this is your call. What are you seeing in the market, your successful clients or your clients who may have been struggling, but all of a sudden they just adopted this new strategy and they're realizing success? What are you seeing with your clients out there, Tim and Alex, about how they're using the HELOC in a successful way? Because again, I love thinking about when you said accessing equity. Now, that is part of your personal brand. That is solving problems. That's not just, I have a HELOC.
Well, it's a great question. Well, go ahead, Alex.
I was going to say, one of the things I really think about that you said, Craig, was just the idea of being proactive. Me and Tim had a really good meeting with a local branch here in Reno, and we were basically showing them the lead portal, the inquiry tool. And what really astonished them was, one, how fast the inquiry is, but the fact that it didn't cost them anything. It was just they could see pre-qualifications right away. It's just off credit, doesn't send their borrower anything. And to me, that's a big part of being proactive, is working that HELOC into a strategy of, okay, like you said, we can't scattershot it. It's not going to work for everyone in the country, but we can see if a HELOC's going to work in like a minute. We can, you know, put that in. We can be proactive about it just to see. And if it doesn't, that's okay. We'll shift focus to something else, but we can keep that kind of there to bring it up. Because I can guarantee you a lot of borrowers aren't going to think about a HELOC, or they think it's going to be this long, arduous process or not for them. This is where it could come up where a borrower may not have thought about it, where you say, hey, I ran this pre-qualification, looks like a HELOC's going to work for, your use case, kind of like you're saying, hey, your kid's going to college, you could pull out $60,000, or however much you need here. It's going to be a fixed rate, 30 years, no prepayment penalties. Let's have a conversation at least. And that way you can just sit down, have a talk. And if it's something they want to do, again, being further proactive, sending them a link, sending them a bunch of information, getting them started, this is an application they can do that day. And again, if it doesn't work out, that's perfectly fine. But again, you found that information in about a minute or two. So it's something really easy to incorporate in being proactive.
Well, and what I love about that,
Yeah.
Alex, sorry, go ahead, Tim.
Well, I was just going to say, Craig, you asked the question, what are we seeing from our clients? And our clients are, in fact, our lending partners, LOs, branch leaders, CEOs, that type of thing. And the quick line in the sand I'll draw between those that are seeing tons of success with our platform versus those that maybe aren't using it is really the difference between focusing on product versus focusing on process.
Mhm.
And what I know, and Craig, you may have some thoughts on this, but as an originator myself over the last 25 years, I know that when speaking to a client and they would say, we were thinking about getting a line of credit, my loan originator head automatically goes to, yeah, I don't really do those. Check with your bank or your credit union. If they can't help you, let me know, because my mindset triggered immediately, very little comp, 45-day process, full appraisal, escrow, title, escrow, blah, 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 right? The process that we have, that's what we've solved for. So that's the line in the sand for me, Craig, is do I focus on product or do I focus on the process? And when I realized that the process within 2 minutes results in a potential HELOC offering, well, now all of a sudden the game changes for me. Now, all of a sudden, instead of saying, yeah, no, I don't really do HELOCs, I don't have a lot of time to put in it. Well, that's because I was focusing on the product. If I adopt the process, I go, wait a minute. So the ones that are seeing tons of success in this are the ones that have adopted the process. That is their go-to. They start with our lead portal inquiry tool. If it works, great. If it doesn't, it's taken them 2 minutes of their time and they're shifting gears and coming up with a different strategy for said homeowner, right?
Well, and that's really critical too, because we want to make the process as easy as possible, right? I mean, I tell people often, like, look, my job is to make your job easier, right? I mean, fundamentally, I'm just trying to make your life easier, right? So we got to make the process as easy as possible so we can execute at a higher level. And, Alex, what I'm picking up on, and this is where my mind goes too, is ultimately, like, again, if customer for life is your key business pillar, for example, then I want reasons to call. I want reasons to implement strategy. I want you to see me as a mortgage strategist. Accessing equity is one of those ways. So and I have an easy process to be able to show that or do that, but really it's also, now I'm framed this way, and we want the results to be purchases and refis and referrals and gratitude. So that creates open conversations that could potentially create some other opportunity that we're not seeing had we not made that call or create that strategy. And look, maybe we don't make any money on this, or very low income maybe on this one, but it opens up something more down the road, yada, yada, right? And so that's being strategic, not transactional.
Yeah, it's so true. And what's really interesting, again, myself included, I'll pick on myself as an originator over the years. When I shy away from a particular product or whatever, what I had to realize one day that, okay, if I'm going to acknowledge that I'm not going to do particular product or process, that's okay, as long as I'm also prepared to acknowledge my competitors will.
Yeah.
So, when you label, Craig, you like on your pillar, you had that client for life concept, right? Well, if that's truthfully who you are, well, then you don't want to take any risk of someone else taking care of those needs for your client. You know what I mean? So I tell loan originators all the time, if you're not going to do it, I get it. Maybe it's not one of your pillars, but at the same time, you have to identify that someone will.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. That's right. Well, and I don't want to interrupt the call either. I just saw in the Q&A there's a couple questions specific to the figure process. Speaking of process, we want to make it easier, so I saw a couple questions there. I don't want to get those missed.
Absolutely. And I do want to address these because they are very, very good. And absolutely, ask questions about literally anything. The first one here says, why is it taking longer lately to get to funding in the last 2 months specifically? And I kind of want to answer this in a two-part. The first is, of course, as you all know, there's that rescission period on primary property. So there could occasionally be a holiday like Veterans Day. I've had a couple of conversations with loan officers, right, where it just funding gets a little bit delayed because of those. I'm sure you all know this, but the big thing there is sometimes that can occur. Big thing though, here's what I want to bring up. We are having a problem, and I'm going to be fully candid with you, is that quite honestly, we're becoming very successful. So what's going to happen is at the end of the application, the borrower is going to have their application reviewed by a live person in our operations center, or if some sort of discrepancy comes up, that's also going to have a live review. Well, that can be in a queue of, say, about 10,000 people at any given time. So what I really suggest, if a borrower wants to get their application complete, they should call or chat in immediately. So if they go through the application, let's say 15 minutes, they get to that endpoint where it says, hey, thanks for submitting the application. We're here to final review. They could literally just open that chat bar and say, hey, can someone look at this right now? And it kind of pops them ahead of the queue, right? This is kind of a big thing. Sometimes we need documents that the borrower has to supply, can kind of slow some things down. But the big thing is that once they're due notary, great, rescission. If there is rescission, secondary investment properties don't, then they get funding. But just know we are expanding our operations team. We are hiring more and more people on. It is just a busy, busy time for HELOCs right now. So I highly recommend letting your borrowers know, hey, you can call that phone number, you can send an email, but if your borrower's doing the app, super easy for them. Just hit that chat bar, chat in real quick, or call in.
Yeah, and by the way, the second part of the second question, I'm guessing maybe the same anonymous user asking, attendee asking the question. One, the question is can we get an email as a loan originator when a client conditions, if there's something needed from a client?
Mm-hmm.
And they end the question by saying, just a thought. I will share with you all, it's not only your thought. This is on our build out as we speak. It's all in the spirit of the transparency, such as the dashboard that we showed you a quick snapshot of as we started the webinar. And we were working on that right now. We have two systems that roll into one. And so we're trying to work on that communication strategy. To be clear, right now there's 6 or 7 LO email touch points that the LO does receive. So really watch those closely. Also remember, to Alex's point, that if a borrower seems to be hung up or maybe something is delayed, at that level, initially, it's borrower driven, meaning when the borrower logs in, encourage them to use that chat function or call the 800 number that's in the borrower portal. You also have us in the sales success team. And I know, Alex, you've got our information in there as well, but still, we're not seeing a lot of delays in funding, honestly. It's just more of a matter of knowing what the status is and what's needed to clear the status.
Yeah, not the funding part, I would say so much. And one of the things there too, like the anonymous user was saying, there is the conditions alert. So on the borrower's app, there's going to be a little notification bell. They can click on it. It'll say if they need anything, like to upload a new ID photo, or if we need a bank statement for some reason, whatever secondary thing outside of what we call the happy path, right, that they may need. But to Tim's point, we are going to get that over to Lead Portal. We are working on some great enhancements. You're going to see some nice updates soon to Lead Portal. We're going to be doing webinars on those, in fact. So stay tuned. It's only going to get better and better.
Yeah, by the way, and Craig, you may have some opinion to throw in here on this, but our industry, in fact, Craig, you said it earlier in the call, our industry is changing, and it's changing yet again, especially in large part with the advent of tech. I don't even know where things are going to go in regards to AI. I think that is the big question, right?
I could talk about that.
But what's interesting is so many loan originators, and I'll just use our originators as an example. It can be frustrating in our platform, but it's because the loan originator is trying to fit a traditional loan process into this one. And that can be frustrating. So are there tweaks that we're making along to kind of make them blend a little better? Yes. But I just want to encourage everybody to realize, think digital, think there are no underwriters, think process, mostly designed to save you time as a loan originator. And of course, again, we continue to enhance, but adopt some of this new technology. I joke around and say, Craig, I don't think I'm going to come into the office on Monday and get an email that says, you know what, just kidding, we're not doing this tech anymore. You know what I mean? I don't. I think it's going
There's
to
some other tech
continue
maybe, but
yeah, I don't think it. I think it's going to continue to expand,
yeah,
not retract. And so,
yeah,
as an originator, the more I can adopt and understand how it best fits, well, into one of my verticals, right?
that's right. Right. Well, and I just put a link into, I wrote an article, what I called the shift in mortgage back in August. And it's cool because I was just at the NBA last week, 2 weeks ago. And, you know, I was writing about this in August, and now this is the conversation that was happening in the NBA. And so it was like, okay, good. Right. And so, you know, so click the link there. And then I realized, I put my email in here too. I realized earlier I only sent it to the panelists. So yeah, look, it's all good. This doesn't mean negative or bad. It is good. We just want to be on the right side of good. That's my whole point. We want to be on offense. And so whatever that means to you, how you can ignite and elevate your business, and paying attention to where we need to be on the other side of this, that's what's critically, you know, important. And I pulled up my old slide deck. I was gonna show you, this is that kind of perspective I was saying. I'm going back to the blueprint concept. So this is like this is my rudimentary way of, you know, building the house, at least from a PowerPoint standpoint. But I wanted to just give you that sort of visual, right? Here's our pillars. Here's our VSE plan over each pillar. Then we're moving obstacles. We're creating scale, vision, mission, and values. And so here's how I help you do that, and the workbook and that sort of thing, to help you implement that. So if you go to this link, you can download a copy of that template for free. So I was going to give you that QR code there for anybody who wants that template to be able to do it on their own. So, and then, like I said, I have the workshop coming up here, I guess, yeah, next week. So
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yep. And I will be sending out an email with all this information as well for those that are interested.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's exciting times. I mean, I have clients, I see it in the field. I mean, people, there is an elite originator status that I see. There's people that are succeeding. There are people that are implementing these, you know, and I love that. Again, there's always Easter eggs in the market, right? And so we just have to sort of like clear the noise to find that. And again, going back to where I think, you know, the figure HELOC is one of those Easter eggs. I mean, other things I'm seeing, right? Yeah, good.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, Craig, it's you know, it's not all magic, and it's not the magic bullet that you referred to earlier that's going to solve all of our pain. However, it's just another tool, and it's another, again, process focused. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just one more thing. Is it for everybody? Maybe not, but I want to encourage folks, you know, that
It's a conversation.
absolutely, and it's a great process to at least initially find out what might be the best strategy for a potential client. And we have some other figure-related questions.
Yeah, I'd like to answer a couple questions here. So Katie has posted a couple questions here in chat. And Katie, hey, I have some great news for you about both. So Katie first asks, why lend on houses that are actively on the market if there is a possibility of that house selling before the 4-month EPO policy? I like the feature, just curious. Great news about this. Now, for context, some of our partners, such as Figure Wholesale, has a 4-month EPO policy if they pay 90% or more. Now, here's the thing. Doesn't apply to listed properties. So don't worry about it, Katie. We're all set and good there. Listed properties have a set 2.99% origination fee. Comp may be a little bit lower. I'd probably check internally on that. So that's kind of those two big things. But hey, if you select listed property, no EPO.
It waives the EPO. Just to be clear, select property listed for sale, it waives EPO. We do have lots of originators that use this as a quasi bridge product, if you will, to quickly give homeowners access to funds to make their next purchase. By the way, even when and if the comp is reduced in your particular model, it's actually okay, because what we're counting on for you is that you're also doing that next forward purchase, right? You're just, it's a tool, it's a strategy to help your borrower get from A to Z. And so, and then, yes, you did hear someone else ask that New York and Kentucky have been approved on the wholesale side and ready to go on retail. So if you happen to be in those retail models, definitely reach out and we'll get your leadership involved with our team and you know, cross those T's and dot those I's. And then any word on West Virginia being approved yet? Alex, do you have any?
What about that, Tim? I have no idea.
I've not heard it.
To be honest with you.
I've not heard of anything of West Virginia being on the build out yet. The two big ones that we were looking to launch, which we have, is New York and Kentucky. Those were two big demands that we were getting.
I can imagine we're going to work on it now that those two are done. I mean, we literally just launched New York, I believe, on Monday.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind that West Virginia and Hawaii, I think, are the last
Yeah.
two that we have for figure wholesale. So I can imagine us working on it, but at this time I have not heard anything. So stay tuned on that.
Yeah, and then Katie, again, she's asking some great questions. If a borrower is using the funds to purchase a second home, did we say there's no rescission period? No, if they're doing a loan on a primary residence, if they're using our product on a primary, there is rescission. If you're doing our product on non-owner investment, there is no rescission. So standard lending rules in that regard. So, but if they're taking the money and going to buy another house, so we're not really involved in that. So if they're whatever they're doing the HELOC, whatever property they're doing the HELOC on, if it was non-owner, and we will do non-owner, by the way, up to 70% with a 680 FICO score. So that would have no rescission. And by the way, I've seen some of those fund in literally a day because there's no
Pretty
rescission.
fast.
It's just unbelievable, right? And Katie just put a comment in there. Oh, good. Just did one with you guys. It was awesome. We love that feedback, Katie. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I don't know, I think we're pretty caught up. And Alex, you've got all the links posted, and Craig put some stuff in there too. Obviously, Alex, you said it several times, you're going to be sending out recording like we always do. We'll also host this on YouTube. And listen, without sounding too corny here, Craig, one, thank you for your time today. And maybe even more importantly, thank you for mine and your relationship over the years. It's really led us both down, I think, a great path. And I'm just anxious to see where the future takes it.
That's right. No, I love it. And congratulations to both of you guys and all the success you guys are having. I mean, it's a great signal to the market. I mean, look at your guys' scoreboard, right? And
Yeah.
that scoreboard compared to others. And so congratulations, and love what you guys are doing over there.
Yeah, I can't encourage people enough to engage with Craig. Again, been very instrumental to me professionally, and will continue to be. By the way, Alex, I can guarantee you our team will be attending next week. So make sure to save that link so we can get registered for Craig's
Save it myself.
I think we could use, I mean, really, if I'm being honest, Alex, just think of it, if it just in our team, with our sales success team, if we were to sit down and break that down and decide what our pillars were going to be, you know, and our VSE, I love that. I've got it written down, right? If even ourselves as our team could start to be on offense, and then I'll say versus being on defense, I think that's
I love that.
I want to encourage everybody, take advantage of it.
Honestly,
yeah, take advantage of it. These types of things don't come around too often, and so again, just to reinforce, we're going to figure the sales success team. We're going to start doing more stuff like this. We want to bring value to the industry well beyond just our particular process or product, if that makes sense. So Craig, thank you. You're the first to do this with us.
Right on. I'm happy to be, and I'm happy to come back anytime. But I love what you guys are doing. Love the thought leadership, you know, and I'm on webinars and keynotes like this, you know, a lot. And so there's just what, you know, and an observation, what I love about what's happening in this industry, and you know, I'm also involved with Momentum Builder and that there's such a giving, I think, mentality. I mean, I see great originators, again, people I work with, people I work around, that like, they're giving their secrets, they're giving their knowledge, right? And I try to do the same thing. That's part of the personal brand. There's a giving mentality, I think, so much in this industry, and let's support each other. You know, there's so many opportunities still, even though the market has sucked, but there's still a lot of opportunities, and there will be to continue. And so I love seeing that. And the NBA, when I was just at that, I mean, the sentiment was very optimistic. It was very positive. There was excitement in the air. You know, it wasn't, the business, you know, and so there definitely was, like I said, we are on the right side of this hope. We do have hope, right? I always say, like, no, like when we hear like hope is not a strategy. No, hope is a strategy, but it's not a tactic. It's not a tactic. Right? And I say that because as a leader, it's our jobs to provide hope, because we're providing a clear blueprint, vision, communication, strategy, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So it's our jobs to provide hope to those we serve, right? But it's not a tactic we can rely on. So
vision, strategy, execution, that's where we're leaving it with you all today. Please reach out to Craig, engage with him. I promise you, you won't be sorry. Reach out to the sales success team. questions, concerns, feedback, tips, tricks, best practices. That's what we want to engage with you all with. Craig, again, thanks. I'm got to jump. I've got another call actually. Craig, I'm sure we'll talk soon. Alex, thank you as always for hosting us today.
Absolutely.
And you guys have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, thank
See
you, everyone.
guys.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Craig, especially.
Cheers. Absolutely.
Yeah, see you.